Hello and welcome to Beyond. So before we get started, I'm just going to read a brief disclaimer. Please feel free to read along as well. Beyond Trader LLC is strictly a research publishing firm. The information we publish is based on our opinions, plus our quantitative models, statistical and financial data, and independent research. This service is not registered with any financial regulatory agency such as the SEC or any other organization or governmental body. By using our platform or our services, you acknowledge that we do not provide personalized recommendations or advice. Alternative asset classes are volatile investments and carry significant risk. Please do your own research before making any financial decisions. Okay, so let's have a look at our indicators this week and what's going on. So I think a great place to start would be Biyond Atlas, and then I'm going to move on to Biyond Challenger. So yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at our key indicators. So Biyond Atlas this week has finally started to move lower. As you can see here, the curvature lower has started after we hit a record high reading, I think around about last Sunday. And since then, Atlas has started to turn lower. And you could see that has coincided with Bitcoin moving higher. So why is that important? So I guess a good place to start would be the key blockchain factors that Atlas considers inside this quant model that makes up 6 of the key factors. Inside there is liquidity and volume as well. So it's a good sign to start to see some positivity back in Bitcoin. However, it's early days, and I must stress that we probably need to exit the red zone before we really start to get bullish here. And the other key consideration with Atlas is that when it does finally start to exit the red zone, typically we see the price making a lower low. So potentially this could line up with something like Bitcoin moving towards maybe the 77 or maybe even the $78,000 area again. If we lose potentially, like the 85 to 84,000 region, it doesn't have to work out that way at all. However, it's just something to know as we move into next week. If we were to copy exactly the scenario that happened between the March and the April period of this year. And you will note that the recovery in Bitcoin has been a bit soft, although we can see, a move towards 93,000 over even the space, of maybe 10 to 14 days. It's not a bad recovery. However, we've just started to see Atlas turn, and I think the 50 points plus downturn in less than a week is very encouraging towards the fact that we may be entering this red zone and therefore getting into the period where things become a little bit more bullish for Bitcoin. Something else to note is that our other key indicator, a Biyond Challenger, is going to be issuing a sell signal for Bitcoin within the next 2 days. Now, there's a couple of key things to note about Biyond Challenger, and also be aware that obviously we can factor Biyond Challenger to any single cryptocurrency out there. But one of the key things to know about Biyond Challenger is that the signal really gets perfected only or if we see some type of scenario whereby on the 8th or the 9th day we see the price is making a higher high, and that certainly gives the price some type of propulsion in the opposite direction. So therefore, Bitcoin could maybe move towards something like the 94 or the 95,000 area and get a strong rejection, and then we'll see like that 8th or 9th candle sell signal moving in and being perfected somewhat. I do note as well, in that scenario it kind of lines up with the weekly, because the weekly next week will be a couple of weeks away from issuing a buy signal. Therefore, if we're heading down in that direction, it could line up very nicely with a kind of strong buy signal on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin. And if that gets perfected and we see a lower low in Atlas, then that could all work out very, very nicely. I think something else to note as well, if we look at Biyond Atlas, having a look at other cryptocurrencies. So for example, if we had a look at Ethereum never got inside to the red zone, and it started to turn down now. So that's mildly encouraging, and we're seeing, like a small points decrease, but nowhere near what we're seeing for Bitcoin in terms of enjoying these multi-digit declines. And we're also having a look at our most bullish cryptocurrency at the moment, and that's actually 1inch. And you can see that 1inch is making its way halfway through that grey zone, and when it officially gets into the green zone, then we get a very, very strong buy signal. But we can see, in terms of it being far away from the red zone, it's actually the most bullish crypto amongst the list of cryptocurrencies that Atlas is able to measure. So interesting information there. Yeah, so moving into the next couple of days trading, maybe we'll see a higher high for Bitcoin and then a rejection, and that would kind of line up with all our indicators. So yeah, interesting to see how things shake out next week, and I'll see you again next Sunday. Thank you very much.